The situation seemed hopeless. Android 21 could never defeat Jiren the Grey with pure strength alone. Everyone watched the scene unfold. No one intervened as Jiren overpowered two of the strongest fighters from the 7th universe. If that giant sphere hit them, they would die. The gods were stunned, but what happened next shocked them even more. The massive sphere detonated right in front of the android as she tried to protect Goku. The explosion was caused by the immense pressure from both sides. It illuminated the entire dimension and unleashed a shockwave that blew everyone back except for the gods and the strongest fighters. A thick cloud of smoke covered the area. It seemed that Goku and 21 had died in the blast. No, that was the only word Beerus could manage as he realized two of his best warriors had fallen in a single attack. Krillin stared at the crater and refused to believe they were gone. Belmod smiled and laughed. He declared that this was what happened when people messed with Jiren. Kai, the Supreme Kai of the 11th universe, watched with hope. He stated that with those two gone, no one could stop their victory. Margarita agreed that the 11th universe had practically won the tournament. Android 18 looked away. Even though she was not close friends with Goku, she felt the loss. Gohan had just watched his father and 21 seemingly perish. Piccolo placed a hand on his shoulder for support. Master Roshi looked down. He assumed the worst since he could not sense their energy, and they had not appeared in the stands. Vegeta ground his teeth and stared at the floor. He then noticed Jiren looking away from the explosion, which confused the Saiyan Prince. Jumpa pointed at Jiren and yelled at the Grand Priest. He demanded that Jiren be disqualified for murder. His angel calmly informed him that would not happen. The confused god asked why. The Grand Priest explained that the technique belonged to Goku, and the android had thrown herself into the attack. He ruled it a double suicide. The Xenos asked if Goku and 21 had lost. Everyone stared at the crater, unsure of what to say. Suddenly a blinding light pierced through the smoke. The intense wind blew through everyone's hair. As the light faded, Goku was seen kneeling on one leg. He was alive, but he was holding 21 in his arms. She was severely injured by the blast. Her evil nature had somehow made the damage even worse, but she was alive and conscious. Goku had saved her, but something about him was different. A warm aura surrounded his body. 21 opened her eyes and realized she was resting on his lap. She looked up and saw his silver eyes and serious expression. He looked completely different. He had somehow saved her from the explosion at an impossible speed while being unconscious just moments before. He stared at her without saying a word. She looked back at him in awe and gently touched his cheek. She weakly asked if he had saved her. The Saiyan did not answer. He simply held her hand and matched her gentle touch. He carefully laid her down on the ground to rest. He stood up and turned toward Jiren. 21 watched him disappear at an incredible speed. He did not use instant transmission, but he moved so fast she could not even see him. The Saiyan reappeared in the center of the crater right in front of Jiren. They locked eyes. Dispo and Toppo stood nearby, completely shocked by how he appeared out of nowhere. Krillin jumped for joy and shouted that Goku was alive. Whis added that Goku managed to save 21 at the very last second. The Elder Kai felt relieved that the strange energy meant something good had happened. Frieza watched Goku standing in the crater and stated that this was to be expected. Vegeta observed the scene with a serious look. Whis asked Beerus if he had anything to say. The destroyer simply said it was finally here. Goku stepped forward and launched a high-speed kick at Jiren. Jiren ducked and barely managed to dodge it. No mortal could track the movement. Goku threw a punch, and Jiren met it with his own. Their fists clashed. Jiren tried to strike back, but Goku easily dodged and returned to his original spot. Gohan noted that he had never seen his father move with such speed. Piccolo explained it was not a coincidence. He deduced that 21 was the trigger. Piccolo pointed out that she had screamed with all her might during the clash, but failed to stop it. Hearing her in danger must have pushed Goku into this new state. The Xenos cheered at how amazing it was. Krillin noted there was something different about Goku beyond just his unseen movements. Whis carefully watched the Saiyan and said they just had to wait and see what he would do. Jiren rushed forward to attack. Goku simply waved his hand and instantly appeared on the other side of the crater. Goku looked at his own hands, completely confused. Jiren turned to face Goku. A small scratch was now visible on Jiren's face. Piccolo noted that Goku actually managed to graze him, and that his attacks were working. He reminded everyone that the blue form was completely useless against Jiren just minutes ago. Gohan pointed out that his father was using completely different movements. Piccolo agreed that his dodging was completely unreal. Vegeta demanded to know what happened to Kakarot because his movements were impossible to read. 21 slowly sat up despite her injuries. she watched two fighters rush across the rocks toward Goku. Toppo and Dispo launched a joint attack against the Saiyan. Goku effortlessly stopped both of their punches with his hands. He then tossed them both back to where they started. Krillin wondered aloud what had happened to Goku, and why he changed so suddenly. Toppo stood on the edge of the crater and aimed his hand at the ground. He shouted and unleashed his Justice Flash technique. The energy blasts rained down on Goku, but his body vibrated slightly with every step as he walked right through the attack. Goku deflected one of the blasts directly back at Toppo. Jiren raised his hand and told Toppo to stop. Toppo felt disheartened that his teammate did not need his help. He wondered what Goku had become. Goku launched himself at Jiren. He unleashed a barrage of strikes. Jiren tried to hit him, but Goku dodged with strange and unreal movements. Goku began to break through Jiren's absolute defense. They flew into the air and started fighting on equal terms. 21 was completely amazed by the sight. Her partner was fighting evenly against the monster who had overpowered both of them. It seemed Goku was now the strongest mortal in the 7th universe. She felt incredibly happy for him. She whispered that she did not know how he matched Jiren's power in an instant. Piccolo observed that Goku was constantly improving his skills, strength, and precision during the fight. Kai could not believe someone was matching Jiren. Belmod grabbed his orange hair and screamed that it was impossible. The Xenos cheered at how strong and fast Goku had become. The Grand Priest watched closely. Whis excitedly announced that this was fantastic news. Shin asked what was going on. Beerus stared in awe at Gokka's silver eyes and incredible speed. The Destroyer announced that Goku had achieved Ultra Instinct. The gods were absolutely stunned. Jampa left his mouth wide open in shock. The Supreme Kai of the First Universe noted that Ultra Instinct was a mental state that even gods struggled to achieve. He could not understand how a mortal managed to do it. The Destroyers threw out negative comments and tried to deny the reality of the situation. Frieza listened closely to the conversation in the stands. Whis clapped his hands and asked who would have thought Goku could actually pull it off. Beerus admitted it was unexpected. Whis theorized that 21 was the catalyst. He explained that her nearly broken body stood up to save Goku from a lethal attack. Hearing his loved one scream in pain must have pushed Goku past his absolute limits. Whis guessed that Goku broke his inner shell to save her, though he admitted it was just a theory. Goku and Jiren continued their fierce aerial battle. Their clashing fists generated lightning that destroyed parts of the arena. Weaker fighters had to run away from the stray bolts of energy. Goku focused entirely on his target. He broke through Jiren's defense again and landed a brutal knee to his stomach. Everyone was shocked. Goku followed up with a point-blank Kamehameha that sent Jiren crashing toward the arena floor. Goku used the momentum of his attack to bounce off the central pillar. He roared like a beast and charged at Jiren at full speed. A massive cloud of smoke erupted from the impact. Jiren caught Gokka's fist in his palm. Jiren's hand glowed with a red light. He told Goku that Saiyans were interesting beings, but this heat was his ultimate weakness. Goku had lost the Ultra Instinct state. Jiren fired a point-blank blast that sent Goku flying. The crowd was left in total shock. Kai felt relieved that the power-up was only temporary. Belmod confidently stated that no one could master that state so easily. Someone lunged from the smoke and tried to punch Jiren. It was hit. Jiren easily caught the assassin's fist with his free hand. Jampa cursed in frustration because the sneak attack failed. Vados explained that a normal fighter would be exposed after defeating an enemy, but Jiren had no such weakness. Jiren asked the assassin what he was doing. Hit calmly replied that he was just doing his job. Elsewhere, Goku lay on the ground. Vegeta had caught him before he fell off the arena. Vegeta crossed his arms and demanded to know what happened. Goku weakly admitted he had used up all his energy. Vegeta told him to hurry up and explain. Goku laughed and said he had no idea what happened either. He then asked where 21 was. Back at the fight, Jiren stared down Hit. Suddenly a pink tail swung at Jiren from behind. Jiren caught it effortlessly with his other hand. He looked at 21 and asked what the magical being was trying to accomplish. Vegeta was about to speak to Goku, but when he turned around, the Saiyan was already gone. Goku was now resting against a rock completely drained of energy. Frieza walked up and pointed a finger at him. The evil emperor smiled at having the Saiyan at his mercy. Frieza noted that this situation reminded him of what happened on Namek. Meanwhile, 21 and Hit launched a synchronized kick at Jiren. Jiren blocked it with his forearms. He stepped on 21's knee and forced her to the ground. He punched her in the face and slammed her into the floor. He tried to punch Hit, but the assassin vanished. Jiren recognized the time skip technique. Hit tried to elbow Jiren from behind, but Jiren moved quickly and counterattacked. Jiren threw a punch at Hit's face, but the assassin used his technique to dodge. 21 tried to strike from behind again. Jiren grabbed her wrists and threw her directly into Hit. Hit caught her, but the impact pushed them both back. Hit noted that Jiren's punches were absolutely brutal. 21 recovered and agreed that every strike numbed her body. Jiren called them miserable and asked if they really thought they could win. Hit and 21 instantly appeared right in front of him. Hit used his time skip and 21 used instant transmission. Toppo was amazed that the two warriors could even withstand a fight against Jiren. Hit attacked from behind again. 21 attacked from the front. Jiren simply punched the space behind him and shattered Hit's time skip. The two fighters were stunned by his raw power. Jiren stood in his fighting stance with his usual blank expression. Krillin asked how Jiren could block an attack from a different dimension. Whis explained that Hit stores time to create a separate space, where he hides his real body, while projecting a hologram. Jampa screamed in disbelief that Jiren could strike into another dimension. Vadis noted that Jiren's strength was terrifying. Hit tried another time skip attack, but Jiren dodged and punched him in the face. 21 appeared and fired a kamikaze energy sphere. Jiren caught it with his bare hands and crushed it without taking any damage. Hit slid across the ground to sweep Jiren's legs. Jiren jumped over them both and stomped on their stomachs. The crushing weight knocked the air out of their lungs. The duo vanished and reappeared on the edges of the battlefield. 21 teleported frantically to land a hit, but Jiren countered every single time. Hit used his time skip repeatedly, but Jiren saw right through it and struck him down. Jampa wondered why Hit kept using the same move. Beerus wondered why 21 did not use her magic shield to paralyze him. Shin agreed that their strategies made no sense. Jiren delivered a devastating kick that sent both fighters flying across the arena. They hit the ground breathing heavily and covered in bruises. Frieza smiled sadistically and noted he was in a blind spot. He told Goku he could finally take revenge for what happened on Namek. Goku stared at him weakly. Frieza chuckled and fired a beam of energy at the Saiyan. Goku cried out in surprise rather than pain. Frieza had given him energy. Frieza stated they were now even. He explained he needed Goku to keep fighting because he refused to fight the monster himself. Frieza turned and walked away. Goku stood up and climbed a tall rock to watch 21 and Hit. The two warriors were standing side by side on a large boulder facing Jiren. Goku realized they were working together and had a plan. Still, he felt he needed to help his partner. Suddenly Sayonal and Pilina tried to blast Goku from behind. Gohan and Piccolo jumped in and deflected the attack. They stood protectively in front of Goku and prepared to fight the Namekians from the 6th universe. Piccolo smiled confidently at his universal counterparts. Back at the main battle, Hit told 21 it was time. She agreed. She teleported next to Jiren and unleashed her paralyzing magic shield. She poured all her energy into holding him in place. Hit used the opening to strike the air and land a phantom punch on Jiren's chest. They combined their absolute strongest techniques to freeze Jiren in place. To their horror, the mighty warrior slowly began walking toward 21. She could not back away, or her spell would break. Hit's arm trembled under the immense pressure of holding the time cage. The assassin admitted he could not hold out until the end of the match. He decided to risk everything in one final attack. Both Hit and 21 were shocked that Jiren was breaking through their combined ultimate techniques. Hit focused all his remaining power into his palm. 21 pushed her magic to the absolute limit. Jiren kept inching closer. Just as Hit prepared to launch his final strike, Jiren stopped the attack with a simple glare. A visible shockwave erupted from his eyes. Jiren regained his movement and completely shattered the time cage. He then used pure brute force to shatter 21's magic shield. Both fighters were left completely defenseless. Goku watched in shock as Jiren broke the techniques with just a look. Hit and 21 called Jiren an impossible monster. Jampa panicked because Hit's trump card was gone. Vados elegantly stated that Jiren's power seemed to transcend time itself. Master Roshi and Shin could not believe a warrior could surpass time. The 11th universe gods laughed and praised their ultimate champion. Jiren began his counterattack. He delivered a brutal punch to 21's stomach and followed with a harsh kick. He hit her with an uppercut that launched her into the sky. He did the exact same thing to Hit. Jiren instantly appeared above them and slammed his fists into their backs. They crashed violently into the ground and bounced from the impact. They tried to stand and fight back, but Jiren used his invisible eye strikes to batter them relentlessly. The heavy impact sent them flying through layers of rubble. The destruction interrupted Kaba and Catapeslis fight. Caulifla and Kale had to take cover from the flying debris. 21 reverted to her human form. She was in agonizing pain. Hit was completely out of energy. Jiren appeared right in front of them, and fired a massive energy sphere to eliminate them both. At the very last second, Goku used instant transmission to grab them. He teleported them to the other side of the arena. Caulifla cursed, and noted that Jiren had beaten Hit easily. Kale hesitated to fight the monster. Kappa stepped in front of them and warned them to stay away. He insisted they needed to regroup with Hit and form a plan. Caulifla reluctantly agreed, and the three Saiyans ran off. Goku gently set 21 down, while Hit sat on the floor, trying to catch his breath. Hit thanked Goku for the rescue. Goku stated that Jiren was too strong for a one-on-one fight. He suggested that 21 Hit and Vegeta team up to take him down. Vegeta arrived just in time to hear the plan. He angrily told Kakarot not to include him in their little group. 21 held her bruised shoulder, and walked toward Vegeta. She told him to stop acting tough, because Jiren had just crushed their best techniques with pure strength. Vegeta called them all pathetic weaklings and confidently declared he would eliminate Jiren himself. Beerus complained about Goku saving an enemy again. Whis pointed out that Goku recognized the need for a temporary alliance. Jampa refused to thank Goku even though he had saved another one of his fighters. Hit stood up and thanked them for the help. He stated he needed to rest and survive until the end. The assassin vanished into the shadows. 21 leaned against a rock and noted they needed to recover their energy. Goku leaned next to her and agreed. Vegeta insulted them one last time before walking away to find a real fight. Goku and 21 were left alone. They looked at each other and started laughing. Goku complimented her amazing magical abilities. 21 praised his incredible Ultra Instinct form. Goku admitted he felt very strange while using it. 21 smiled and said he looked very handsome with his warm aura and silver eyes. She hugged him, and thanked him for saving her life twice in such a short time. Goku hugged her back, and reminded her that they had someone waiting for them at home. He patted his pockets looking for the drawing Violetta had made for them. 21 giggled and explained she had given it to Whis before the tournament started so it would not get destroyed. Goku praised her smart thinking. 21 asked if he was ready to get back to fighting despite their exhaustion. Goku laughed and stood up. He said they just needed to find the right opponents. 21 mentioned she could not use her Majin form for a while. Goku admitted he could not maintain his blue form either. Elsewhere, Master Roshi was walking calmly, while Shansa from the 4th universe attacked him. The tiny fighter was no match for Roshi's martial arts. Roshi easily knocked him down and threw him off the platform. Shansa of the 4th universe was eliminated. Roshi chuckled, and wondered when he would meet more cute girls. Suddenly an energy blast forced him to dodge. Ganis from the 4th universe arrived seeking revenge for his eliminated teammates. The young fighter powered up and transformed into a giant bird creature. He charged at the old man. Roshi expertly dodged the attack and redirected Ganis into a rock. Ganis let his anger take over, and rushed in again. Roshi kept his hands behind his back, and effortlessly dodged every single wild punch. Ganis could not understand why he could not land a hit. Roshi explained that transforming did not change his predictable fighting style. Ganis created energy blades and leaped forward. Roshi jumped into the air and threw Ganis into a boulder, splitting the rock in half. Beerus and Krillin cheered for the skilled master. Roshi counted his third elimination as he walked forward. Ganis suddenly recovered. He focused all his power and landed a direct punch to Roshi's stomach. He unleashed a furious barrage of strikes, while Roshi maintained a calm smile. Ganis finished with an energy blast that sent the old man rolling across the ground. Ganis laughed and mocked Roshi's frail body. Roshi began moving his hands in a hypnotic pattern. Ganis recognized the technique and electrocuted himself to break the hypnosis. He punched Roshi in the face and sent him crashing into a rock. Ganis mocked the old man for trying to stand back up. He told Roshi to accept his limits and retire. Roshi called the concept of limits foolish. He stated that Goku and Krillin had taught him that a battered body still had much to give. He declared he would surpass his limits by giving his absolute best. Roshi assumed the stance for the Kamehameha. Ganis fired a continuous stream of lightning, but Roshi refused to yield. The old master bulked up into his maximum muscle form. He shouted his core teachings to his disciples about working, learning, resting, and playing. Ganis panicked as Roshi unleashed his ultimate Kamehameha. The massive beam overpowered the lightning and engulfed Ganos. The blast also caught Zium from the 10th universe, who had the bad luck of flying past at that exact moment. Both fighters were blasted completely out of the arena. Ganis of the 4th universe was eliminated. Zium of the 10th universe was eliminated. Quidala screamed in anger over losing Ganos. Beerus praised the old man. Kus felt sad for her unlucky fighter. Master Roshi began to stumble and collapsed. Vegeta suddenly appeared in front of him. The Saiyan prince told the old man it was time to retire. Roshi looked down and agreed that his old body could not handle much more. Vegeta told him to eat a senzu bean, and promised to take care of the rest. Vegeta walked away to continue his battles. Roshi knew he had done his part with 3 eliminations. He stepped backward and let himself fall into the void. Roshi of the 7th universe was eliminated. Krillin handed his master a senzu bean in the stands. Beerus called them a clumsy pair of baldies, but admitted Roshi had earned his deep respect. Ganis walked over to the 7th universe section. He bowed deeply to Roshi and expressed his admiration. Roshi patted the boy's shoulder and told him to follow his teachings to surpass his own limits. Ganis thanked him and returned to his team. Krillin laughed and noted that Roshi had gained another student. 21 asked Goku if he saw the fight. Goku proudly stated that his master always reminded him of the true meaning of martial arts. Across the battlefield, Caulifla and Kale were fighting Nappa and Preacho. Nappa used his massive strength to push Caulifla back. Kale easily overpowered Preacho and knocked him out. She tossed the 10th universe fighter off the stage. The Preacho of the 10th universe was eliminated. Kale rushed to help her sister, but Caulifla yelled for her to stop. Caulifla swore to beat the idiot herself. Nappa pushed her all the way to the edge of the arena. He told her she was finished. Caulifla called him an idiot and performed a massive suplex. She tossed the heavy sumo wrestler right out of the ring. Nappa of the 10th universe was eliminated. Kale asked if her sister was okay. Caulifla brushed off the bruises. Suddenly 7 uniformed fighters surrounded them. It was the remaining Pride troopers of the 11th universe. Casserole created a key blade and told them they were next. Kakat summoned purple spheres. The Pride troopers took their combat stances. Caulifla and Kale prepared for a brutal 7-on-2 battle. Caulifla smiled excitedly while Kale grew angry at the threat to her sister. The 2 Saiyans charged at the Pride troopers. Elsewhere, Ariel was chasing Vegeta around the arena. She wanted to play headbutts with him. Vegeta ran away because her first headbutt had dented his metal skull and made him very sad. If he stopped running, she would catch him. 18 suddenly delivered a double kick to Vegeta's chest and knocked him down. She complained about how hard his metal body was. Vegeta began to cry from the insult. Ariel walked over and gently patted his head. She asked why her friend was crying. 18 tricked the robot girl by saying he was sad because he could not leave the arena. Ariel happily picked up the massive metal man with one hand and tossed him out of the ring like a feather. Vegeta of the Universe 6 was eliminated. 18 tried to talk to her, but the robot girl had already run off. Ariel found Hermila and punched him right off the platform to help him leave too. Hermila of the Universe 2 was eliminated. Ribrianne, Kakunsa, and Rosie saw the robot girl eliminate their teammate. They angrily stepped in front of Ariel. Ribrianne coldly stated they were not her friends and wanted revenge. Ariel asked if they wanted to play. Kakunsa and Rosie responded by kicking Ariel into a boulder. Ribrianne praised her teammates. However, Kakunsa and Rosie were holding their feet in pain because Ariel's body was incredibly hard. The smoke cleared and a green energy barrier was revealed. 18 had stepped in to protect the little girl. She warned the maidens to pick on someone their own size. Ribrianne ordered her team to attack. The 3 maidens fired long-range blasts while 18 maintained her shield. Ribrianne fired a barrage of love blasts that shattered the barrier. Kakunsa lunged forward and slashed 18 with her claws. Rosie kicked 18 into the air and Ribrianne hammered her back down. Ribrianne bragged about the power of love. Krillin screamed from the stands to encourage his wife. Ribrianne heard his voice and blushed at the sight of the handsome bald man. Krillin was deeply confused by her reaction. 18 stood up covered in scratches. She was furious that Ribrianne was staring at her husband. Krillin kept cheering. Ribrianne yelled at the handsome boy to be quiet. 18 completely lost her temper. She promised to beat them to a pulp for insulting Krillin. 18 moved with blinding speed and punched Ribrianne in the gut. Kakunsa and Rosie tried to attack from both sides. 18 blocked their strikes. She snapped Kakunsa's claws and grabbed Rosie by the throat. She smashed their heads together and tossed them next to Ribrianne. 18 ordered them to leave the arena. Ribrianne refused to give up. 18 charged energy into her fist while Ribrianne secretly gathered energy behind her back. Ariel walked over to stand next to 18. Ribrianne threw a small pink heart that 18 easily punched away. However, the shattered heart expanded and formed a giant energy bubble that trapped 18 and Ariel inside. The giant heart began floating off the edge of the arena. The maidens cheered their victory. 18 punched the barrier repeatedly, but could not break it. She realized they were going to lose. She looked at Ariel, who found the floating bubble very amusing. 18 came up with a desperate plan. She grabbed Ariel by the ankles. She spun in a rapid circle, building up massive momentum inside the bubble. 18 hurled Ariel directly at the maidens. The impact broke the bubble, but the momentum sent 18 flying into the stands. She was eliminated. However, the plan worked perfectly. Ariel crashed into the 3 maidens like a missile. The sheer force knocked all 3 girls, and Ariel completely out of the arena. 18 of the 7th universe was eliminated. Ribrianne, Kakunsa, and Rosie of the 2nd universe were eliminated. Hells cried out in despair for her maidens. The 3 girls appeared in the stands in their base forms. 18 sat in her spectator seat feeling down about her elimination. Krillin walked over and praised her for taking out 3 fighters at once. 18 apologized for leaving their team at a disadvantage. She began to tear up. Krillin gently wiped her tears away. He told her she was a fantastic fighter, an excellent wife, and a perfect mother. His sweet words cheered her up completely. 18 surprised him with a tight hug. In the 2nd universe stands, Ribrianne watched the couple embrace. She admitted there were still forms of love she did not understand. Caulifla and Kale stood ready against the 7 Pride troopers. Casserole ignited his energy blade and declared their run was over. Caulifla instantly punched him and shattered his cybernetic eye. Kunchi used his energy whips to bind Caulifla's arms. Vuan and Kettle mercilessly punched her stomach. Kale tried to help, but Kakat trapped her inside an unbreakable dimensional sphere. Kale could only watch as her sister fought all 7 alone. Soiree trapped Caulifla in a tornado and launched her into the air. Kunchi used his whips to slam her violently against the rocks. Casserole recovered and ordered Tupper to attack. Tupper increased his massive weight and slammed into Caulifla's stomach. Casserole delivered a brutal punch to her face that sent her crashing against Kale's prison. Caulifla lost her transformation. Kale screamed her sister's name in horror. Caulifla slowly forced herself to stand up. The 7 troopers fired a massive barrage of energy blasts at her. Caulifla screamed in pain as the explosions engulfed her. When the smoke cleared, she was barely standing. She promised Kale they would survive this together, just like always. The troopers stepped forward to finish the job. Kale felt an overwhelming surge of pure rage. Her body began to tremble violently. Her energy skyrocketed to unimaginable levels. The entire arena shook. Vegeta and Toppo paused their fight to look at the massive power. Goku and 21 also felt the incredible ki. A massive explosion shattered Kokot's dimensional prison. Kale emerged in a completely new form. Her hair was bright green and her eyes had no pupils. Her muscles bulged and her skin was lighter. She glared at the Pride troopers with pure savage intent. The troopers stood frozen in fear. Kale moved with terrifying speed and punched Casserole completely out of the ring. Kunchi tried to bind her with his whips, but she simply grabbed the energy tethers. She yanked Kunchi toward her and choked him. The others tried to help, but she used Kunchi as a weapon to swat Tupper away. Both troopers flew out of the arena. Soiree tried his tornado attack, but Kale walked right through it. Vuan and Kettle hit her from behind with their strongest attacks. The blasts did not even leave a scratch. Kale grabbed them both by the throat and tossed them out of bounds. She chased down Soiree and stomped him deep into the arena floor before throwing him out too. Kakat fired plasma spheres to distract the monster. Kale grabbed Soiree by the leg and tossed him out. She then turned her soulless gaze to Kakat. The female trooper created a maximum power shield in pure terror. Kale shattered it with a single punch and blasted Kakat out of the arena. Tupper, Kunchi, Casserole, Soiree, Vuan, Kettle, and Kakat of the 11th universe were all eliminated. The 11th universe gods were in complete disbelief. A single Saiyan had just wiped out nearly their entire team. Belmod pulled his hair and screamed in panic. Caulifla watched in shock as her sister walked away mindless and enraged. Gohan and Piccolo were locked in a fierce battle against Saonal and Pilina. Gohan was the strongest of the 4, but Piccolo was the weakest. Saonal fired an energy beam from his mouth. Gohan dodged, but Pilina sneaked behind him and knocked him down. Pilina then attacked Piccolo with a heavy kick to the head. Saonal charged a ki blade to finish Piccolo, but Gohan caught his wrist. Pilina tried to intervene, but Piccolo forced them back with an energy blast. Piccolo smiled and admitted he did not expect other universes to have such strong Namekians. Saonal stretched his arm and grabbed Piccolo's leg. Pilina fired a blast at him. Gohan jumped in and deflected it with a Masenko. Gohan then stomped on Saonal's stretched arm and completely tore it off. Pilina asked if his partner was okay. Saonal simply regenerated his arm and stated they would win. Piccolo charged at Pilina and locked arms in a test of strength. Gohan completely overpowered Saonal with a flurry of strikes. Gohan knocked Pilina down and kicked Saonal away. He threw Saonal into the air and fired a Masenko, but Pilina stretched his arms to pull his partner to safety. Gohan apologized to Piccolo for getting overconfident. Saonal and Pilina realized they had underestimated the hybrid Saiyan. Gohan rushed forward and slammed Saonal into the ground. Pilina stretched his arms rapidly, but Gohan blocked every strike. The relentless attacks pushed Gohan into the air, where Saonal intercepted him. Pilina joined the aerial assault. Gohan fought a 2-on-1 battle against the Namekians. Gohan knocked Pilina into a rock while Saonal landed a clean kick that sent Gohan to the floor. Gohan placed his hands on his hip and fired a massive Kamehameha. Pilina fired a beam of his own to counter it. The clash was entirely even. Pilina reached through the blinding light and grabbed Gohan's wrist. He formed a key blade with his free hand. Before Pilina could strike, Piccolo unleashed the special beam cannon he had been charging the entire time. The piercing beam blew a hole straight through Saonal's stomach and continued perfectly into Pilina's chest. Saonal marveled at the power of a 7th universe Namekian. Gohan's Kamehameha overpowered their weakened defenses and blasted them both out of the arena. Saonal and Pilina of the 6th universe were eliminated. Gohan and Piccolo panted heavily from the exhaustion. The master and student bumped their fists in victory. Frieza held Kaba by the face and repeatedly smashed him into a wall. The young Saiyan screamed in agony. Frieza stated he loved strong fighters, but felt a deep disgust for Saiyans. He promised to hunt down the female Saiyans as soon as he finished with Kaba. The threat pushed Kaba into Super Saiyan 2. Frieza stepped back in surprise. Kaba swore to protect his friends and win the tournament. He fired a massive Gallic gun directly at Frieza. The blast caused a huge explosion. Kaba fell to his knees completely drained of energy. He thought he had won, but a barrage of death beams suddenly pierced his body. Kaba lost his transformation and collapsed. Frieza walked out of the smoke completely unharmed. He wrapped his tail around Kaba's neck and began strangling him. Frieza stated he would kill him on the spot, but he was not worth the effort. He fired one last beam through Kaba's leg and casually tossed him out of the arena. Kaba of the 6th universe was eliminated. Vadis immediately healed his severe wounds in the stands. Jampa cursed Frieza for attacking an exhausted fighter. Frieza laughed sadistically and plotted to steal the Super Dragon Balls for himself. Goku and 21 faced the mechanical warriors of the 3rd universe. Panchea analyzed 21's movements while Ballerator and Katsuke attacked Goku. Ballerator extended his metallic arm and slammed 21 into the rocks. Panchea fired a barrage of missiles that engulfed her in explosions. Goku wiped blood from his lip and transformed into a Super Saiyan God. He easily broke Ballerator's arm and hammered Katsuke. Panchea tried to ambush Goku, but 21 tackled the robot into a boulder. Goku thanked her for having his back. 21 stated they needed to finish this quickly to save energy for Jiren. Dr. Pepperoni interrupted and declared it was time for their ultimate weapon. The 3 robots merged together. Pepperoni enveloped them in a purple light to create the gigantic monster Aniliza. The Supreme Kai of the 3rd universe proudly announced their secret weapon. Aniliza roared and shook the entire arena. Vegeta and Toppo paused their battle to look at the giant. They did not notice Kale charging blindly toward them. The Berserk Saiyan punched them both and sent them flying into the rocks. Kale saw the giant Aniliza and wanted to fight it. As she rampaged across the arena, her unchecked power eliminated fighters from multiple universes. She accidentally knocked out the hidden bug fighters Damon and Gamisaurus. She then leaped into the air and shattered a massive chunk of the arena. The destruction caused many fighters to fall into the void. Dr. Rhoda Prum Zarbuto Rabanra Zerline Fire and Nigrishi Ketapesla and Naririma were all eliminated. Quidala panicked as he realized his entire team was gone. The Xenos raised their hands and cheerfully erased the 4th universe from existence. Aniliza focused entirely on Goku and 21. The giant stomped repeatedly at the dodging fighters. Aniliza managed to grab Goku and smash him into the ground. The giant began pummeling the Saiyan mercilessly. 21 screamed and transformed into her evil Majin state. She kicked Aniliza in the head and knocked the giant backward. She rushed to check on Goku. He was badly beaten but alive. Suddenly, 21 grabbed her head in agonizing pain. Goku held her to keep her from collapsing. Aniliza recovered and prepared to crush them both. A massive final flash struck the giant's arm. Vegito arrived in his blue form and challenged the metal monster. Aniliza moved with impossible speed and swatted Vegeta into the floor. 21 managed to calm her headache with Gaka's reassuring words. Before Aniliza could stomp on Vegeta, Goku teleported him away. Vegeta yelled that he did not need help. 21 told him to shut up so they could coordinate an attack. Goku suggested he and Vegeta aim for the face, while 21 attacked the legs. Goku and Vegeta charged forward, but Aniliza opened dimensional portals to punch them from all sides. 21 was struck by a portal punch before she could reach the legs. The three warriors were battered and exhausted, but they refused to yield. Aniliza charged a massive sphere of energy to destroy them. Goku activated Kaioken times 20. Vegeta pushed into Blue Evolution. 21 flared her evil Majin aura. They fired their strongest attacks to hold back the giant sphere. Frieza suddenly transformed into his golden form and joined the beam struggle. He clarified he was only doing it to survive. The four warriors slowly pushed the energy back. Suddenly Kale arrived underneath Aniliza. The Berserk Saiyan used her monstrous strength to lift the giant robot off the ground. Aniliza lost his footing and his attack wavered. The combined beam of the 7th universe struck the giant's core. The massive explosion defused the robots and blasted them completely off the stage. Paparoni, Katsuki, Panchia, and Ballerator of the 3rd universe were eliminated. The 3rd universe gods thanked their warriors for their hard work. The Grand Priest announced their erasure. Moscow opened his robotic suit to reveal the tiny god mule inside. He thanked his angel Campari before the Xenos erased the entire 3rd universe. Goku, Vegeta, 21, and Frieza reverted to their normal forms. Goku thanked Frieza for his help. Frieza warned them not to get used to it. Ariel wandered the arena and bumped into Jiren. She asked if he wanted to play. Jiren coldly told her to get lost. Ariel cheerfully skipped away. Caulifla finally caught up to Kale. The Berserk Saiyan suddenly lost her form and collapsed from total exhaustion. Caulifla caught her sister and praised her incredible power. Caulifla declared they should go hunt down the other universes. Hit suddenly appeared and told them they were in no condition to fight. He reminded them they were the last 3 fighters of the 6th universe. He ordered them to rest while he kept watch. Hit touched their shoulders and used his time skip to teleport them away. Frieza and Vegeta went off to find their own battles. 21 leaned against a rock to rest. Goku sat next to her. She asked if he thought they could win. Goku smiled and hugged her close. He confidently promised they would find a way to win. Frieza stood with his arms crossed and closed his eyes. Jimai's the Yardrat teleported high above him and fired a large energy blast. Frieza casually raised his hand and destroyed it with a death beam. He mocked the Yardrat for being predictable. Jimai's teleported behind Frieza, but the Emperor struck him with his tail. Jimai's tried to teleport above him again, but Frieza anticipated the move and appeared behind him first. Frieza slammed the Yardrat into the floor. He grabbed Jimai's by the throat and tortured him with brutal punches. Frieza fired a point-blank beam that severely injured the fighter. He then kicked Jimai's out of the arena. Jimai's of the 2nd universe was eliminated. Hells looked at Frieza in absolute disgust. Since all their fighters were gone, the Grand Priest announced the end of the 2nd universe. The Xenos closed their fists and erased them completely. Cabba watched the empty stands in horror. Jampa felt uneasy, but Vados reminded him he only had 3 fighters left. Jampa crossed his arms and revealed he had a secret weapon. He told Cabba to pay close attention. Beerus asked Whis if Goku and 21 could beat Jiren. Whis doubted they had enough energy left after fighting the giant robot and getting beaten by Jiren earlier. Beerus hoped that their combined efforts with Vegeta and Frieza would be enough. Ariel skipped around the arena until she spotted the grand platform, where the Xenos sat. She took a massive leap and landed right next to the Omni Kings. She cheerfully said hello. The Xenos were confused and pointed out that she had left the arena. Ariel tilted her head and asked what an arena was. The guards were stunned by her sudden appearance. Ariel of the 7th universe was eliminated. Beerus screamed in pure frustration. Whis laughed and noted that no one had bothered to teach her the rules. Shin admitted it was a huge oversight. Across the battlefield, Gohan and Piccolo prepared to face the remaining fighters of the 10th universe. Vegeta finally spotted Toppo in the distance. Frieza shattered rocks as he hunted for the female Saiyans. Hit stood guard in a hidden area while Caulifla and Kale rested. Goku and 21 sat together quietly regenerating their stamina for the final battle. Jiren remained standing in the exact same spot waiting for a worthy challenge. Caulifla looked at her exhausted sister. She smiled and told Kale she had a plan to win the tournament. Caulifla reached into her pocket and pulled out the Potara earrings. Will they fuse and turn the tide of the battle? Find out in the next part.